Hello, YouTube. It's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called Passport Bros, just like Austin Holleman, will chase you out of our country, says FEMCEL. And the way this video came about was through several different videos I was reviewing, and of course the obvious incident with Austin Holleman in Brazil, with him receiving death threats, and also, a lot of the trolling that he received. I was watching a few different people's videos on this to get their take, and then I had my own opinion. I kind of wanted to share it. I was watching one master teacher's video response to it, and just various people throughout the Passport Bro space. So let me start off by saying this. One of the things I saw as well that was a little bit somewhat disappointing was, I wouldn't even say it was disappointing. I was just surprised there was so many people that were like getting very scared about the whole situation, and almost to the point where they felt like Brazil was going to suddenly shut down Americans from visiting there, and it was going to be a huge thing where like now they're looking at all the Americans coming there, we're going to be harassed and all this stuff like that. And I feel like it was kind of a overreaction. It was pretty much an overreaction. Even people's response and critique of Austin Holleman, and my personal opinion is that it was a bit of an overreaction. First off, again, as some people have said, he's 23 years old. 23 years old, and I think ultimately, at his core, obviously he wasn't trying to make the Brazilian people look bad. That wasn't really his intention. I do understand people's critique and saying that in spite of him having good intentions, it's not so much your intentions, but how it's perceived. And I do understand that as well. For example, what I didn't know, because originally I saw some of the video that he talked about that brought out the feminists, and at first I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. And then I saw one master teacher's video in which he showed that in Brazil there was like a news article written about him, and somebody had listed that he actually was on the news. They show like his picture, and to me it got really bad once I started seeing that. I was like, oh wow, this is like, it's like huge. It was like huge. So I was surprised it actually got that big. And so let me say this. I think more so the issue is that, and this is not just for Passport Bros. This is for anybody who makes YouTube content, TikTok content, Instagram content. The other issue is that, and some other content creators have said this as well. When you're a smaller channel and you only have like, kind of like, well, I'm kind of have now where I'm only have like maybe like 1,000 subscribers, 2,000 subscribers or something like that. When your subscriber base isn't that big, you can kind of talk about whatever you want to talk about. You don't have to worry so much about editing. You can kind of get very graphic, detailed about certain things. You can ask all types of questions, whether people think they're valid or, presentable. The problem is once you start reaching a certain threshold, as Austin Holleman, he's gotten really big. I think now he was almost like, like 20,000 subscribers, something like that, maybe a little bit more. Once you start hitting a certain threshold, you have to unfortunately, you got to tone down some things. You got to like craft your wording and your titles and that kind of thing, because people start to really pick apart your videos, and plus, since you're such like a big platform, you start to really like having a huge effect on the general public. And a lot of times people are worried about, like we talked about before, perception. They're worried about what you're putting out there and how it will affect their image and that kind of thing. For example, so I'll say that. And then the other thing is, but again, at 23 years old, and with him just being, he kind of popped up on the scene and kind of blew up pretty quickly. I just think that he hasn't really had time to kind of really um, develop his channel as much as some of the other big content creators have been able to. Like it's taken them some time to kind of get where they're at. So over that time period, they've been able to kind of like fix like the image of their channel and what it's about and the way they word things. And he hasn't really had an opportunity to kind of do that, because I think what he was looking at is, for example, there's some red pill content creators that they do things like they go into the United States, they walk around, they ask women all these series of questions such as, what type of man do you like? What type of man you don't like? Would you like this type of man? Sometimes they can get really graphic as well. They can talk about, the size of a guy's thing and all that kind of stuff. And for the most part, nobody really says anything about it. So, well, I won't say that. But the thing is, I think he was looking at videos like that. Even, for example, there's like some content creators that talk about red pill stuff. They're living in the UK. They're interviewing all these random women. Sometimes they make, to some degree, ask these women these questions like, how many books have you read within the last month? The woman looks kind of dumb. And, and the thing is, to some degree, I guess some women will look at that as them trying to say that you're making women in the UK look like we're dumb. That we're all like, what's the word? Like, just not, marriage material. The same critique came up about, Fresh and Fit. Like, a lot of women in the United States were like kind of upset about Fresh and Fit because they feel like the women on that panel, that Fresh and Fit are trying to make it seem like all the women on that panel represent all the women in the United States and this is how they all act. When in fact, that's not necessarily what they're trying to do. They're just trying to have good discussion and talk about some, relationships between men and women. But I do understand they're saying it's the perception, though, that they're putting out there to young, impressionable people who are going to look at this and then they're going to think that this is how all women act when, and I think that's more so what they're worried about. And tying that into Austin Holleman's thing, when Master Teacher talked about this, I kind of saw what he was saying, where you're trying to say that whereas everyone can kind of see where Austin was coming from, it's just a matter of fact that this was done in Brazil, which is not his original country. So to some degree, a lot of the women there don't want to appear like they're easy. And the thing about it was, even what the original questions I thought he asked wasn't that big of a deal. But then as I was watching One Master Teacher's video, he brought up the point that he asked some of the women about, do they like a guy's certain, do they like a certain Johnson size? They asked that question. So the feminists took that and they took all the stuff he was saying and just like, they were saying, and pretty much put that all together. Then it makes it look as if, Austin is trying to say that the women there are like easy and all that kind of stuff. And I understand too, like they were saying like some countries don't necessarily want all their dirty laundry put out there on blast. So that's why they kind of really got on him about this, which I now looking at it, like I said, from the outside, once I saw that and saw I saw all the information surrounded it, and I saw like the news event and then the articles. It all I can see why they would have an issue with it. But again, on the other hand, I see Austin's position as well. He was coming from his position of innocence. He just sees all these content creators in other countries. They're creating content and they're just going out there and it's, they're just asking questions, that kind of thing. But on the other end, I understand they're saying that at the same time, you're making money off of these women. They're not getting paid. It looks like you're just trying to use them to get views. That kind of thing. I mean, I kind of understand it. So a better way he probably could have did it. I think a better way he probably could have did it is, and some people may disagree with me on this. I think what he should have did is he could have been in the States and he could do like some content creators do, where they do like the Zoom thing. They interview some women from a different country and they come on their panel and they do like the little Zoom or like the like when they do like the little Skype thing, the girls call in and then they ask them questions. That way it didn't necessarily look like they're necessarily he's that way he's not in their country. He's actually in the United States. They're calling into a show. They're showing up on there and they're kind of just speaking about how things run in their country. I just think it wouldn't have been as still could have been taken the wrong way, but I don't think it would have been as bad as people watching him in Brazil, sitting like, you know, in their beach areas and walking around interviewing girls within the country there and saying the things that he was saying, because then they feel like he's just a tourist there taking advantage of their country. Because keep in mind that there are a lot of there's a lot of jealous people in these countries. For example, they feel like, and it's not all of them, but there's a percentage of them that feel like they're kind of jealous of the fact that Americans kind of come there and live in luxury while they're there struggling. For example, I talked about this before in one of my other videos, and I believe it was in I think it was in Indonesia, like Bali, where like there were a lot of like women and people on the internet bragging about how, you know, a lot of people should come to Bali and get an apartment there because it's so much cheaper there. And some of the locals there were very upset and jealous because they felt like it was increasing rent there, and they didn't like the fact that the woman was presenting this on the internet and encouraging people to come there. They felt like she was taking advantage, which she wasn't doing. I mean, I understand what she's doing, but the thing is, she probably would have been better off doing that within like a little Facebook group or something like that. But either way, I say that to only say this. The people there were a little bit jealous of them. So I think that's one of the reasons they made a big issue about it. And one of the things that came out of the whole discussion was this. A lot of people said that if you're going to be a tourist and you're going to do these kind of things, especially live there, you got to kind of move under the radar. You got to be under the radar. You can do it just like the stuff Austin was talking about. If you want to go there and meet different women and date them, all that kind of stuff like that, you can do it, but you just have to do it in a very sophisticated manner, not in a mocking manner, not in a manner that's going to make them look bad. You got to kind of fly under the radar, you know, for the most part. And as I said before, and as your platform gets bigger, you just got to be aware that it's going to be more eyes on you. And in particular, in this case, unfortunately for like Austin, since he has like such a big channel, it put a lot of spotlight on him. And I feel like they kind of made him like the poster boy of like, unfortunately, like all the bad tourists that come there that they don't like, they tried to make him out to be like another tourist taking advantage of their country and that kind of thing. And that being said, I want to lean into like some other points as well. The other thing was, okay, because the other danger with Austin, I would say, is that he left Brazil, which is a good thing. Some people were saying he shouldn't have left. I think he should have left, and the reason for that is this. As we know, in most of these countries, there's lots of prostitution going on. There's sex tourism going on as well. A lot of this goes on in the country. The locals, the government, they all know about this. Even some of the United States people, they know about all this stuff going on in the countries like that. But the thing is, when you kind of broadcast it and put it out there in the light, I feel like the government officials and stuff feel like they have to at least show that they're doing something. They have to try to save face for the most part. So what they'll do is, for example, in Thailand, what you'll see constantly is there's certain bars there that they'll be there for like 3 months. All of a sudden, there's like a police raid or something like that. They close the bar down, they shut it down, and the thing is closed for like 2 weeks. You come back 2 weeks later, that same bar is open again. And it's with the same people and stuff in it. The name might be different, but you can see it's the same exact bar. And one would ask, why would they do that? And the reason for that is it's kind of like a smoke screen. It's kind of like they say political. I think it's called political showcase. No, political theater. It's there to make it feel like show the people, because a lot of times what's happening is some other countries or reporters from other countries or something are broadcasting this, might have been on YouTube saying, oh, look at the people taking advantage of all these women, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, the government, when they speak to them about this, they can't look bad. They have to at least present or appear that they're trying to do stuff about it, that it's not a good thing, even though they know that to some degree they're allowing this to happen and their country is somewhat benefiting from it. So the way they get around it is they have to put on some type of theater and act like, oh, we raided the place, we really did all this and blah blah blah. So they're gonna throw up like a little smoke screen. And what I'm gonna say, and so the thing is, in this case, because there was such like a big public, I'm not gonna say a public outrage, but because they publicized so much, they put them on television, they got them in a news article. What potentially could have happened is the government officials might have done something like even potentially banned him completely or something like that, or told him he can't come back, or hit him with some type of heavy fine, or something like that to that effect. Which is why I think it was smart from the league. I would have left too for that exact reason. Because here's the thing. Even when he leaves, what's going on there is going to continue to go on there. They're not going to do anything. But I feel like for political theater, and because these feminists and stuff have made such like a little articles and stuff about it, and there's a spotlight on it now, they have to kind of like put a Band-Aid on it. For another example of this is, if you remember when the Olympics was going to be there, people talk about the fact that there was so many, like, I hate to call them like slums there. And what the government did, because they were so embarrassed about it, because people talked about all the crime there, they actually put up like little walls along the expressway covering over the, I think they call it favelas, covering up the favelas. So when you drive from the airport down into the city, you don't even see it. The government did that because they were trying to cover up all the poverty there. They didn't want that displayed to the whole world. So what I'm saying is the governments would do this sometimes because they don't want, like, it's there, everyone knows it's there, but they don't want it being put on blast. So sometimes they make a little show to make it appear that they're, fixing things are getting better and all this stuff like that. So that being said, I think he did the smartest move, which is just to go away for a little bit. Now he can come back maybe like, I'll say like maybe 3 months later, just come back, everything be fine. He probably just needs to be a little bit more chill on doing like interviews there. As I said before, the better way I think he should do it is he should do his interviews in the state, and just, from being in the state, just do like some Zoom meetings with some girls from Brazil there, and kind of do that. But actually going there, being on the beach, people see you're there, they think you're profiting off their country. They like, it's too many jealous people. It's too many jealous people. And then of course we have all the feminazis as well, already coming after all passport bros, whether you're there in Brazil or not. You already have them there. You don't want to give them any type of like ammunition, or like any ammunition or any way they can try to like make us look bad, or in this case try to harm you in some way. Now this is the other thing I wanted to say as well. The other thing was they brought up all these people trolling him and putting all this negative stuff on his accounts. Keep in mind this is one thing people didn't think about. These trolls that supposedly said all this negative, these quote unquote feminists or whatever that on his page saying all this negative stuff about him. Keep in mind that there's no way to confirm if these are like actual women or men. You saw little avatars, but there's no way to confirm if these are actually feminists or other women saying this. This could actually be men within those countries as well, or even men in the States that are saying these things. And they just post that little avatar up, and they're saying all these negative stuff. There's no way to confirm that these are actually women from Brazil. That's the other thing people were not considering as well. That, you got to consider there's a lot of jealous men as well in the United States and in Brazil that don't necessarily like, put it this way, if they're upset because they don't necessarily have the finances to travel, or the men in those countries, maybe they don't have the finances to kind of get the type of women that they want. So as a result of that, they feel like you're there. They might feel like you're there, taking advantage of their women, and they're not able to do that. So of course they're hating, and they're going to find some way to try to take you down. So if they can get in the comment section and say negative stuff about you and make threats and all that kind of stuff, they're going to do that. And then I'm very curious to see what this feminist is that made these death threats, because I saw the death threat was like, oh, I hope a bullet comes and gets you, and all this crap like that. I think he did it the best way. Just don't answer her in a threatening way as well. I think he did it. I think he kept his class and just I think he kept class by not responding back to her. I did the same thing. I wouldn't have responded back to her in a negative way, even though I think it was an idle threat. I wouldn't have been worried or scared about any of that. But the thing is, that's why on my page in general, I try not to be, insulting to the women, even like the women I'm critiquing in their videos. I try not to talk that, like call them names and do all this crap like that, because all they're going to do is try to use that against you and then try to make you out to be this big misogynist and all this stuff like that. So I just try to speak to them directly, truthfully, but, respectfully at the same, in the same manner, even though what they're saying and doing is ridiculous, but I just feel like you don't want to give them, any ammunition. So that's that. The other big thing I saw, which I was talking about, was somewhat discouraging, and it was that I saw a lot of Passport Bro content creators trying to throw him under the bus, saying all types of negative stuff about him, calling him like a passport pookie and all this kind of crap like that. And I totally disagree with that. He's like, as I said before, the guy's only like 23. As Taylor Made Dreams has said, and I agree with him, was like, you got to remember when you were like 23. And I was 23. I was nothing like I am now. Like, my mind was completely different. Now, I do understand people was trying to say that you should, when you go to other countries, you should be sophisticated. And I've already mentioned that in some other videos as well. I just always said you just want to put your best foot forward. You want to give us like a good impression. But again, think about this. Thousands of good impressions about a Passport Bros. There's one bad impression that wipes out everything. I mean, really, that should wipe out all the good impressions that all the other Americans have made coming to their countries, contributing to their countries, being respectful. So we're going to let this one incident wipe out all of that? I mean, come on now. So that's why I disagree with that. Same thing with Austin as well. I mean, for the most part, whenever he's on panels, he's always respectful, mild manner, that kind of thing. He's not overly disrespectful to the women. I mean, because it's labeled passport pookie, a lot of times they're trying to say it's men who, I guess, are at a club acting crazy, sleeping around with several different women, doing all this stuff like that. And just, I guess they're trying to say it's like classless and that kind of thing. But the thing is, I mean, technically, in my personal opinion, when people talk about Pookie and Ray Ray, they're generally talking about borderline gangbanger type of, guy in the States who can't keep a job, constantly in the midst of drama, several baby mamas, all that kind of stuff. I mean, because technically, if it's gonna come down to just, he sleeps with several women, that makes him a passport pookie. I mean, what do you got to say about Leonardo DiCaprio? He has a girlfriend to the 25. He gets rid of them. He gets another one. Think about all these come on now, like all these actors. I think Taye Diggs had a girlfriend. He got rid of her. He's about to get another one. P. Diddy had all these different. Think about all the actors. And I'm not even going to bring in the athletes. Let's just talk about the actors in general. Even these business owners, even these people who own like Bank of America and stuff like that. These guys are with several different women. Does that make them a pookie? Generally, you talk about pookies, you're talking about a degenerate person. I believe Austin Holleman, he has a degree. He has a degree. So, I mean, yeah, okay. So there were some comments he made. I do agree that were like not classy. The comment about the size of a guy's Johnson and asking women, that kind of stuff. I do understand when you take that in context with the other stuff, it looks bad. I do agree with that. But what I am saying is, just because this young guy had one bad moment, one bad video, you're going to take that and make that his whole character. I just don't think that's fair. And then the other thing was all the fear mongering about this whole situation. I heard one content creator talking about Passport Bros is over. I don't want to be a Passport Bro anymore. This is not for me. I'm done with it because y'all didn't messed up the title and all this fear mongering type stuff because one feminist put that out because there was one bad article. Now you want to disassociate yourself with that. Again, thousands upon thousands, probably millions of people, Passport Bros traveling, going to these countries, contributing to their economy. Now you're trying to say that has ruined everything. I don't know if people remember this, but when the Olympics came, do you remember like all the Americans that came to Brazil, and there was so many problems with the Americans there? You had Americans, they said they were like, I think there was some Americans that were stealing stuff from the stores. And I believe some of these were like celebrities too, stealing stuff from the stores. They complain about the Americans. A lot of them had this entitled attitude. They're dealing with the staff. They were very rude. Think about it. This happened during the Olympics. These people weren't necessarily considered passport bros. These were just Americans in general. Then they left. The Americans left. And then, so what I'm trying to say is, let's not act like Americans have been just traveling these countries and you don't have the stereotype of the dumb American. You do understand that Americans in general, we have a negative stereotype to begin with. This entitled American that comes there and thinks he runs the country. That's in lots of places. One guy told me one time in Germany, this was like a service person, a person that was like in the army. He told me there used to be a sign there that was said something like, and I don't want to put, and this is not to alienate my, non-black, subscribers, but there was a sign that said, like no, I think it was like no white American servicemen or something like that. And I say that just to say that in some of these countries, there have been Americans in there partying too much, doing a lot of stuff there. Now, again, I don't endorse this, but that's not trying to make Austin Holleman like the poster boy for Americans making stupid decisions in other countries. I mean, come on now. This is just getting ridiculous. On top of that, with all that going on, with all that happened in the Olympics, Brazil still opened the doors to get us there. So much so that, I don't know if you remember this, but the president of Brazil, he actually made it where some Americans can come there visa-free. Visa-free. As long as you were there on the 90 days, you did not need a visa. And when I did go, I do remember they actually made it easier for you to get a visa. I think it was only like, you could literally go online, get your visa within like, I think it was, you only pay like, like $75. They had decreased the fee for it because they were trying to encourage more people, specifically Americans, to come there. And this is in spite of the fact that we had all those issues with the with like the Olympics and Americans coming there beforehand. So you have to ask yourself, why would they ease these restrictions? It's because Americans contribute to their GDP. 10% of the GDP. So here's the thing. Technically, about 3 to 4% of the GDP comes from like tourism. However, indirectly, tourism contributes to 10% of their GDP. 10%. That comes from us using the Ubers there, the taxis there, the restaurants there, the hotel, because they have a huge service industry there that contributes to their GDP. So when passport bros, when we're coming there, we're contributing to their GDP. So if all of us would suddenly get banned and they say, don't come back anymore, y'all banned for 2 years, think about what that would do to their economy. And all this right after COVID, and globally, inflation is out of control. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So what they're going to do at most is put up some type of smoke screen, do some type of political theater, which means they potentially could have done something to Austin Holleman where it's like, oh, you're banned from Brazil, or you can't come back for like 6 months, or some type of heavy fine, which is why I said I think it was smart that he left before they start doing all this. All he has to do is stay out of Brazil maybe for about, I would say like 3 months. Don't come back for like 3 months. Let everything cool and die down. Then when you go back, just come back more sophisticated. And as I said before, you might have to change the type of format of how he does his videos and his interviews and that kind of thing. And I think it'll be fine. I don't think, because again, I mean, as I said before, the governments, they already know about all this stuff going on. I mean, it's just that people were just putting a spotlight on this whole thing. But I mean, but again, to all the fear mongering out there, we need to, I mean, that's come on now. That's not blow this out of proportion. I mean, come on now. Like I mean, talking about millions of Americans traveling per year. I mean, one American is going to really ruin it for all Americans. I mean, come on now. I mean, I mean, do you really think all the millions of Americans traveling, they all of them are going to be 100% of the time showing great character all the time? It's not going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't encourage people to have good character. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that that's not blow this out of proportion and just think because one person did something bad, passport bro thing is over, it's all coming down to an end. This is just fear mongering and people, in my personal opinion, hating on Austin Holleman. This is just me personally. I just think that they're trying to exacerbate the situation, make it worse than it is, to kind of bring him down because they're jealous of him because he has so many views, so many subscribers. So they're trying to like take down his page and make him look bad because they want to try to blow up their page. But I just think we need to like, stick together. Again, he's young. I think he'll improve and get better. At the end of this video, I guess I would just say overall, like as everyone has said, and I agree, we just all need to try to put our best foot forward, try to give the best impression of America and Americans, and try to make sure that overall, all the people overall, want to welcome us back in, and we have good rapport with them, and they're not saying so many like negative things about us, and that we are contributing to their economy and taking care of the people there. Which is why even when I'm in Colombia, a lot of times I see plenty of poor people, like sometimes bums and stuff like that. I'll still give like some pesos here and there, even though I don't have to do that. But just the fact that I'm appreciative that I'm in their country. Yeah, and I just want to show support to the people there. I'm just polite while I'm there. I understand that I am a guest. It's not my country, so I put my best foot forward. I try to stay out of trouble. Any big disagreements, at worst, I just won't go back to that business. Or, if I have some type of issue with some of the owners or something there, I just won't deal with those owners. I'll just go to a different store or something like that. I just try to keep everything cool and calm. And plus, I don't want to go to jail in some other random country. I don't want to go to jail in a random country as well, especially outside of America. I definitely don't want to do that. So I definitely encourage most people to be on their best behavior, put their best foot forward, and obviously try not to make the country look bad or put their dirty laundry out there in the air for the most part. I'll say that. So I do understand the backlash of where all this came from. But I just overall, I still support him. I think he's going to be a great content creator. He'll be okay. He just needs to stay out of Brazil for like 3 months, let all this die down. And to all the other passport bros as well, as someone else has said, don't let this discourage you from going to Brazil. Don't let this discourage you from traveling outside the country. You'll definitely be fine. As I said before, worst come to worst, I think they're just going to do some type of smoke screen, make a statement about it. If it was that big, I think it's going to probably just die down. But like I said, within a few months, this will all be behind us. It'll all be forgotten about. Don't let this discourage you. Obviously, because if you're in that particular city of Brazil, I think it's Bahia. If you're in that particular city, obviously right now where it's a little bit hot, you don't want to do anything stupid. Keep cool and calm. Don't be scared. You can still go out and party, that kind of thing. But obviously, don't get into don't add to the spotlight right now. Because the thing is this. As I said before, there are jealous individuals there, and especially jealous women there, and especially some man-hating feminists there in the United States. They want us to fall. They want to find some reason to try to take down this passport bro movement. They want us to find anything they can to say things negative about us. They want us back on this plantation. So that being said, even on your best behavior, they're going to still try to find little ways here and there to say stuff negative about you. But my whole thing is this: try your best not to give them any ammunition. So my thing is, if I was in Brazil, particularly, I would kind of like, maybe like for a month or so, I probably would just go to like Rio, Sao Paulo or something like that, and just hang out there for a while, give it about like a month or two, let things die down, and then go back there and just, continue as planned, because as I said before, obviously, as I told you before, they reduced the red tape on like the visas and stuff there, which means they do want tourists there. Americans contribute a large part to their tourism section, so they do want you there. Don't be scared about that. I assure you, if we were to just if all of us, including the sex tourists, were to pack up and leave Brazil and never come back, it would have a huge impact on Brazil. Especially after COVID, after all countries are still recovering from COVID, inflation's out of control. Most countries need tourism, they need business there, so they want you there. So don't let that scare you. And even though I talked about a lot of feminists and men, a lot of the men, some of the men that I hate the foreign men there are plenty of men that want you there. They actually encourage you to. They put it away. They will be happy for you to marry their daughter. They'll be happy about that. They would encourage you. I already talked about stories about some guys in which Their fathers actually tried to introduce their daughters. Like Brazil, yes, had a story about this. I had the same experience in Thailand when I was there. Taxi cab driver wanted to introduce me to his daughter. He had me add her to my Facebook. So what I'm saying is you want it there as well. Don't let this discourage you. So I don't want to keep this video too long. It's already been going on for a while, probably longer than I wanted it to be. But on that note, please subscribe to my channel if you have not. Hit the notification bell. Please hit the thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. And until next time, leave some comments as well. I want to hear what you guys think about this whole thing. And leave some comments as well. And until next time, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.